So our plan had really two major components. It was our diocesan plan had the parish plans from every one of our parishes and our schools, as well as some diocesan-wide commitments, net zero and other things. I'm going to focus on the process of mobilizing our diocese. In about 6 months, that has continued. All right. So in 2024, at Pentecost, that was May 19th, all of our parishes received a letter from our bishop that introduced a planning process we were going to undertake. Prior to this happening, I met with all of our ministers in deanery meetings and in one-on-one meetings to outline exactly how the process was going to go and to answer any questions. So at Pentecost, when this letter went out from Bishop John Stowe, all of our ministers already knew what was coming and they were ready for it. Following that letter, their first step was that each of our parishes was asked to enroll into the Laudato Si Action platform and then to assemble a team. Teams were made up of at least two people and the pastor. What we found is that many of our teams actually were much bigger. Then those teams were asked to complete an assessment that we made as a diocese and to host a listening session. This assessment and listening session was interested in understanding how the parish is already practicing the goals of Laudato Si, the 7 goals, and how they could better practice. And finally, why Laudato Si was essential to them as people of faith. Then on October 4th, 2024, all of our pastors submitted a plan for their parishes that included Laudato Si statement saying why care for creation was essential to them as a community of faith, that made smart commitments based on the 7 goals of Laudato Si, so that's specific, measurable, achievable, related to the goals of Laudato Si and time-bound, and appointed a coordinator for each parish to oversee the implementation of the plan, and each year during the season of creation to evaluate the plan's work and update it. January 1, 2025, we published our diocesan plan, which included the plans from every one of our parishes. And we began monthly meetings for those parish coordinators. Those continue and will continue for the foreseeable future. Those meetings are a time for all of our parish coordinators, Laudato Si coordinators, to share about their progress, to share insights, to collaborate with one another, and to look to the future together. We were able to offer grants to about a third of our parishes to help kickstart their plans, although many of our parishes were not able to. These was really focused on our Appalachian parishes. And now, as we head towards the season of creation, all of our parishes are asked to celebrate the season of creation through joining a diocesan pilgrimage for a Mass on the mountaintop, and for each parish to have an event scheduled themselves to celebrate what they've accomplished in terms of their goals, and to look to 2026 and add new commitments to their Laudato Si plan. So now that's that was the road we took and that we're on right now. We meet monthly and we continue to build this out. Now I want to share 3 insights that applied for me and continue to be relevant and also can apply to to whatever path you're on, whether it's for a particular event, this pilgrimage, or a wider Laudato Si movement. Here are the 3 insights. Know your diocese, know your why, and know your task. Know your diocese. We've talked about org charts and mapping. You got it. It really boils down to this. When you're looking at your diocese, you have to answer a couple of questions or approach 3 questions. Who do you need to talk to understand the challenges that your diocese faces and its priorities? Second question, who do you need to work with to plot out a Laudato Si plan that meets those challenges and furthers those priorities? And then finally, what offices or people do you need to collaborate with to have a successful plan? So if you're looking at your chart or your org chart or your diocese, here are some of the people that we work with. You're trying to figure out what are the main challenges that our diocese is taking on right now. And then what are the priorities that are being taken on concretely? And then how can a plan fit within that? Address those challenges and further those priorities. You also want to know when you're talking about parishes, what are the makeup? You're also understanding the challenges, the strengths, the cultural realities, the capacity as you discern your path forward. So again, what are the challenges and what are the priorities? Whether you're talking about a diocese or a parish, and who do I need to talk to develop a plan that's going to meet that? And then maybe you make a list of people that you should have coffee with, even if you work in the diocese or you're maybe outside the diocese. So know your diocese. The second insight that I think is just incredibly important, and it continues to be relevant, is know your why. So our why, our faith-filled reason for caring for creation, is the only thing strong enough to stand up to the resistance, the challenge, the conflict, the political polarization that exists. We, as leaders, must communicate our why. And we're invited to communicate it over and over again. So the way it often happens to me is people will say, I have to say to folks very clearly that we are not doing care for creation because of a partisan reason. We are not in it because of a political party, and we don't get to opt out of it because of a political party. We are all in because of our faith. And this message, our why, is something that we continually communicate over and over and over again in everything we do. Other ways I might put it is the earth and everything in it belongs to God. Psalms 24. God alone has absolute ownership of the earth and its resources, according to the Laudato Si and Pope Francis. Our job description is simple: till and keep, cultivate for the common good, and protect. Pope Francis writes in Laudato Si that living our vocation to be protectors of God's handiwork is an essential part of a life of virtue. It is not an optional or secondary aspect of Christian experience. It is my vocation, your vocation, the church's vocation, to protect God's creation. And Pope Leo says, now do it concretely. So we know our why. This will be ultimately the engine behind whatever strategy we have, and separates us from sometimes the others that are in the field or against what we're doing. Know your why and communicate it. And then finally, know your task. We are inviting people into something concrete, something real and tangible, because a vocation is about identity and mission. It's how we structure our parish. It's essential to Christian life. It's about how we structure our time. It is about real and concrete action. So we're inviting people to a concrete task, not necessarily an ideological group of gathering of just people who think the same way, but rather people who want to exercise and empower that vocation to till, keep, and protect God's creation in practical ways. It's worth mentioning that in all the tasks we do, we're looking to build capacity for leadership and build capacity for action. Leaders make other leaders. Our job, as said before, is to build up leadership at every level of our diocese and to build upon action. So small action leads to larger action. Small hinges open big doors. I'll end with a story here. So a pastor came up to me when we were starting with our plan last year, and he said, "Josh, I can't do this. We don't have the capacity. We can't come up with a plan." I said, "Do you preach? We can preach on Laudato Si. Do you have a prayer of the faithful at Mass? We can have an intention for creation. Imagine if our whole diocese prayed for creation, we would be transformed. Do you have coffee? We can move to fair trade or reusable filters. LED bulbs? We could transition to that. Overnight, we could buy cleaning products that were environmentally friendly. What about the Feast of St. Francis. We can bless animals. We can bless the garden. The truth is here, we already have the capacity to do something, and that something can lead to really big plans as a diocese. I've seen it firsthand. We did it. We did overnight. We decided, or over a small period of time, we decided we were going to do something, even small if we could. And I'm watching it transform our diocese. So we just remember that we have to know our diocese, know our why, and know our task. And finally, if you have any questions about as a diocese, or if you're interested in those resources we used, in over 6 months, we also did formation resources and all types of resources. You can go ahead and take a picture of this on your phone, and it'll take you right to our website as a diocese, and you can look at all of our documents. Thank you very much for your time, and I appreciate all the work you're doing.